Turn your bitter into better. Into better. It's the Sonia Shockley Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sonia Shockley Show. I am your host, Sonia Michelle Shockley, inspirational singer and speaker, life coach, soul nurturer, and your big sister in relationships. And I help people transform their pain into purpose, their wounds into wisdom, and their bitter into better. I'm super excited today about my guest as we continue to focus on men in the month of June. The Sonia Shockley Show has been all about our men and how we can help them to be stronger and better. And my guest today is an expert on men's health, and June is Men's Health Awareness Month. So let's welcome Dr. Anthony Chornes to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Sonia. Thank you for having me.
So good to see you. You look great. You look like you're still 25, even though I know we went to school together. So.
Yeah, I got my AARP card.
You look great, and it shows. It shows that you've been living this abundant life that God calls us to live. And you have an awesome testimony about transformation in your own life.
Right.
But today we wanted to talk about men's health. But before we get into that, please give us just a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. I actually own and operate an alternative medicine consulting practice in Huntsville, Alabama. It's called the Valier Alternative Health Center. The word Valier is a Latin word that means to be strong, to be well, to be healthy. And this is what we like to do and instill in those in which we work with. I specialize in what is called lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine is basically therapeutic lifestyle approaches that are designed to address chronic illnesses. And these are evidence-based lifestyle medicine. So we're not talking just, grandma said, go back in the backyard and grab some of these herbs. These are evidence-based. These types of therapies that we recommend have systemic actions upon the body that promote health and promote healing. And it's always exciting to be able to share these principles in a format like this. And my life is dedicated to doing this. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's such a blessing is to see how science has caught up with health, things that we were taught as children.
Mm-hmm.
We already knew these principles, and then now to see how the science and the research, the world is just catching up to stuff we've been talking about for years. So I'm so happy to have you here. So we're talking about men's health. Can you tell us what's the biggest issue? What's the biggest challenge that men are facing when it comes to their health?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm gonna come from a direction that most people don't think of. The greatest challenge is a sick mindset. That's the greatest challenge. Is it possible to be healthy? Is it possible to have longevity? Is it possible to live a life free of the many chronic diseases that plague men today? Yes, it is. But the biggest root problem when it comes to men's health is the sick mindset. It's not having a value in their health. They don't consider how their health impacts their wives, impacts their children, their grandchildren, their family members. They don't really be mindful about it. They're living and doing, and then when crisis comes, they want some type of miraculous healing to take place. But for most men are not typically mindful of their health, and that is the biggest problem.
Yes, for sure. And so many of us wives are like, we have to harass our husbands about simple checkups and to look into that. And they ignore it. I think about my father who dropped dead on the job, when I was 14 years old. And he complained to my mother about, symptoms like I'm having chills, I'm having pain, but never once And he's a veteran, easily could have had a checkup, and who knows what could have come from that.
Correct.
But he would complain to her about certain things, but never went to the doctor. In fact, he had such a fear of hospitals and doctors. And I wonder, is that what you think attributes to the sick mindset that you talked about? Is there just this fear when it comes to, if I go, then I'll know. But if I don't go,
great. That's a great question. And I think that is a factor, but the major factor is the choices that we made. So the reason that we have to go to the doctor, the reason we are having symptoms and, chest pains and, fatigue and all the other headaches, etc., whatever symptoms that are letting you know there's a problem, a lot of times, the majority of the time, 90% of the time, it's associated with bad choices as it relates to lifestyle, habits of eating and drinking, and lack of exercise. So now that I've created this environment of disease, now I have an excuse that is real in my mind not to go deal with this, because I'm afraid, one, of what the doctor is going to tell me as though it's going to go away, and two, depending on when you were born and what type of information you've had, you're fearful of the fact that the doctor may do something that is unethical to you and cause greater problems, a fear that the doctors cannot be trusted. So that is a factor. But Sonia, the major factor is just a sick mindset, not really seeing as health as a major investment, eating unconsciously the things that we, just drinking because we enjoy the taste of it, and not exercising because we just want to sit on the couch and relax, and various things like that. The majority of the diseases that we deal with among men is based on choices, Sonia, and choices comes in the mind. So if I have a sick mindset, I'm going to choose the ice cream. I'm going to choose the soda pops. I'm going to choose the processed food. I'm going to choose the donuts. I'm going to choose everything that gives me pleasure. I'm not choosing like I'm investing in the stock market. I'm not choosing like I'm a real estate developer and I want to be able to develop this product and get a return. I'm choosing based on what feeds my desire, my passion, but yet at the same time destroys and erodes my health.
Wow, I love it. I love it. That's really powerful. So many ways I can go with that.
Yeah.
That last statement.
That's a segment in itself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to have you just come back and just talk about the sick mindset, because that was so powerful. But our health is our wealth, and I
health
thank
is the
you
new money. Get some.
Yeah.
The new money.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about testosterone. As men age, as they get older, of course, the testosterone is decreasing.
Correct.
What are some of the things that they can do to increase this testosterone? A lot of times they rather just go get a pill,
Correct.
Get an injection, than to do, make some healthy choices. But what are some of the things that they could do?
Okay, yeah. So let me just say this about low testosterone. What a lot of people don't realize, Sonia, is that men have male menopause. It's called andropause.
Yeah.
There's a decline in hormones. And a lot of times, let's say age is a factor. There is like the wear and tear on the vehicle. But a lot of the issues that we face are directly related to lifestyle. So there are foods that make sure we keep a good hormone balance, that help balance out estrogen and testosterone. So we have to consider what we need to do to manage this house that we have, this real estate that we have. Some major things that we can do to boost testosterone is a plant called saw palmetto. Saw palmetto encourages and it helps to boost testosterone levels. Okay. Tribulus is a plant. It's an herb that also helps to boost testosterone levels. Okay. So, so these are maca will boost testosterone levels. So I don't know if are familiar with maca. Maca is a Peruvian herb.
I'm trying to write these things down as you're talking.
Yeah, maca. Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
So yeah, there are plants, and men need to be aware of the resources. How do I invest in my real estate? I consider my body my real estate, and I want the most longevity out of it. I know I cannot live forever in this life, but I can add more years and add more quality of life. I can slow down the aging process. Scripture tells us in Psalms 103, verse 5, he says, satisfy thy mouth with good things, thy youth shall be renewed like an eagle. So the more plant-based foods men consume, it's going to help balance out the hormone levels and keep those testosterone levels where they need to be. But one of the, just in a simple sense, one of the supplemental therapy or herbal therapies that I would recommend for men with testosterone, low testosterone, is the plant saw palmetto.
And how do you spell that?
It is SAW and palm and ETTO, saw palmetto. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you can get that at your local health food store, Whole Foods, and places like that.
Get to the local health food store. But if men are listening and they really want help, I would encourage them to reach out if they want guests. So when we talk about these things, Sonia, we talked about, it's basically that's just one of the therapies that we can use. Herbal therapies is just one of the therapies that we can use. So we need a comprehensive. So the herbal therapy, the supplemental therapy, the nutritional therapy, the juice therapy, the exercise physical therapy. So those are 5 of the most virtuous therapies that work synergistically to bring about this harmonious healing and restoration of health. And saw palmetto is just one of the players on the team to win the championship of health.
That's right. That's right. For sure. Awesome. I tell you, excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about erectile dysfunction. This is a subject where there's a lot of shame, and usually a man does not want to go and seek help.
Right.
But I'm sure that there are some natural remedies. Go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's kind of focus on some of the causes. Most of the primary causes is just poor vascular health. All right. Mm-hmm. There is a compromise, it's vascular compromise. In other words, the blood vessels that supply blood, which scripture says the life of the flesh is in the blood. So that's science. So of course, when we talk about the blood vessels in the vaginal area, in the penis of a man, when we look at those highways, by the time it gets to the penis, those highways are very small. Like I live out in the country, we're on the major highway, which is 65. Then you get off on a minor highway, which is 64 to come to my house. Then you turn down a small road, 2-lane road called Bunker Hill. Then you get on a smaller road called Snuff Branch Road. Then you turn on the road that goes to my house back up in the woods. And only you see a car coming up down the road while you coming up, you got to get in the grass. There's not enough room for 2 vehicles on the road that goes to my house. So there's smaller highways, and those smaller highways are occluded. There's blockage, just like there can be blockage in the larger arteries, there's blockage in the smaller arteries. Those arteries are not as, they don't have the ability to dilate as they need to, because they're harder because of the types of foods that we're eating, the processed foods, the sugar and the fat. All of this damages the blood vessels. It changes the consistency of the blood. It makes it more like motor oil. So when you try to have an erection, you don't have the physical systemic health to sustain an adequate erection. Mm-hmm. So, and again, that goes back to the diet and lifestyle factor. So if I want to have health as it relates to my reproductive organs, as it relates to having a sustainable erection that can, a sustainable erection. This is real talk, Sonia.
Yeah, no, for
It's
sure.
real talk,
And it's needed talk.
Real talk is this, that a woman does not want a Minute Man.
No.
That's real.
As we get older, we really don't want a Minute Man.
Yeah, you don't want a Minute Man. You want, God made this for pleasure as well. Not to have babies. He made it for pleasure. It's good. But if we're not investing in our cardiovascular health, we're going to have problems. And where it's going to hit men hard is in as far as the cognitive health. There's small blood vessels that supply the brain, and there are very small blood vessels that supply the penis. So if I'm corn chips, if I'm white bread, if I'm donuts, and if I'm drinking, the sugary drinks, the burgers and the fries, and I'm eating minimal living foods and things like that, where is it going to hit me the hardest is in my cardiovascular health. And then, here's the dangerous part. Then we go to our physician and we want Viagra to fix the problem. And now I'm putting all of this force on a system that does not have the capacity to sustain the force. And a lot of contraindicative, a lot of health issues, and actually even loss of life can occur from putting this type of pressure on a system that cannot sustain it. So the first area men need to look at in correcting erectile dysfunction is the cardiovascular health. We need to get that, corrected. All right.
Wow, powerful. And I like the way you put these great metaphors for men. This is a sensitive topic, but you're making it so easy, so approachable. I love that, using metaphors like we're all, the team, and talking about the highways, You really are.
Creates a picture in the mind. That's
painting these pictures of our body being real estate. And we're more strategic about our financial portfolio than we are about our health. So, man, you're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we talked about testosterone. We've talked about ED. Let's talk a little bit about the prostate.
Okay. So, and that would answer a couple of questions that I'm going to share with you as far as the erectile dysfunction and the prostate. So our go-to plants, if men who are watching, women who are watching, because that's your real estate.
Right.
You want to invest in what's yours. If you don't want to take it, mix it in this juice. Say, here, baby, take this.
Yes.
If he's giving you a hard time, you making the meal, just mix it in his food. But maca, that's another, as we mentioned, the testosterone. Also, we mentioned the erectile dysfunction, and we're talking prostate health, okay? So men who are dealing with an enlarged prostate or disorders of the prostate, one of the number one plants on planet Earth for men's prostate health is maca. One of the number one plants for men's reproductive health, especially as it relates to erectile dysfunction or maintaining that stamina or having an adequate erection. Maca is referred to as the natural Viagra. So in the mountains of Peru, the sheep herders will give their sheep maca, and they will have more stamina and they will produce more sheep. Okay, so it makes them more. It makes their sexual stamina increase. Okay, all right, and not only that, for men, maca helps if a person has a enlarged prostate. The nutritional elements that are in maca are going to feed the prostate and allow it to return to its normal health. Does that make sense? So every plant has chemical constituents that have an affinity or match to various organ systems and structures in our body. So the elements that's in the maca have a match when it comes to the prostate. Another plant that is essential for prostate health is saw palmetto, which we already mentioned. And we're going to get the dual effects, the testosterones balancing out and increasing, and the sexual stamina, okay? We also need to have pygeum bark, okay? Pygeum, pygeum bark, essential for prostate health, okay? Another one, from a plant perspective or a nutritive herb, will be pumpkin seeds, okay? Why pumpkin seeds? The largest concentration of zinc in a male's body, Sonia, is located in the prostate. So what do you think is going to help the prostate? Foods that are high in zinc. So you may read or may heard, and men may have heard that they need to consume pumpkin seeds for prostate health. And this is why: the high concentration of zinc that are in the pumpkin seeds. So I would consume pumpkin seeds. I have pumpkin seeds in my refrigerator in a glass jar. And listen, I go take my pumpkin seeds out, take a handful of some of them, put them in my blender, in my smoothies, and I blend them up. Sometimes I just eat them. I put them on my salad. I'm investing in my real estate. Are you with me? All right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Now, what was the one that started with the M? Matcha? How do you?
Maca, M-A-C-A. Okay.
And then the other one was P-Y?
It was P-Y-G-E-U-M. Pygeum. It's a bark. Pygeum bark. Yep.
Okay. I want to just make sure that our guests can.
Sure. We want to educate. We want to empower. What you're doing is empowering. We want to give them the resources. We're not trying to entertain them.
Right.
Transform lives. Is that right, Sonia?
Transforming.
Lives. Yes.
Look at, so how does it look on the screen? Is that?
That is it. You got it. And here's from the supplemental therapy. Let's throw this in there. We need to supplement on zinc. Okay. And that zinc, take a zinc supplement, about 50 milligrams of zinc. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. This has been so informative, and the time is getting away from us. And I know you're a busy man, so I just really again appreciate you taking time out and just sharing with us today. You have a love for people, a love for God, a love for health, and I'm so grateful for that. Let's talk a little bit about obesity. I mean, we're just living in a world where you can easily just get the snacks. You talked about the drive-through. Yes. Men are stressed out from work. They're looking for something fast and quick.
Yes.
Even the women, we're stressed out from work. So we're making meals that are fast and quick. But what does obesity, how does that affect a man's health?
Great question. So with obesity, you got to think about, when we talk about disease, we're talking deficiency and toxicity. And when we're talking about men's health, that's what's plaguing men. They're not getting adequate nutrients and their bodies are very toxic. So when you talk about fat, we have excess fat. Excess fat is toxic. So even if something is good, but too much of it in the system makes it toxic. So when we have more fat than what we need, we put a toxic load on our body. So what obesity, how it affects men is it creates an environment for a plethora of diseases. So the weakest organs begin to deteriorate or break down first. So the fat environment is going to predispose us to diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, strokes. It's going to facilitate this growth of disease, just like fertilizing the soil and planting the seed. Obesity, think about obesity as a facilitator of disease, and you can just pick your poison. And when you have obesity, the default button is punched, and then life will choose for you. It may say, let me choose a little bit of that diabetes there. Let me choose a little bit of that heart disease. Let me choose a little bit of that hypertension. Oh, wow. Let me choose a little bit of that cancer. Matter of fact, give me a couple of those, Let me choose a little bit of that prostate cancer. Let me give you a little bit of digestive disorder. You see how it works? So when we talk about obesity, don't think about just being overweight. Think about it as I've created an environment where now this environment is going to choose for me what my health is going to be like. And I'm not having any choice in the matter. It's going to pick something for me. All right. So that is the biggest issue when we talk about how obesity affects men's health.
Wow, it sounds like the gatekeeper. It's like, oh, you come on in now, diabetes. Yeah, you come on in, heart attack.
Yes.
I mean, wow.
So you open the door and say, come on in.
Yeah, yeah.
And the question is the convenient foods that good? If we make health the foundation, we'll have the capacity to deal with life. If not, we're like a dog chasing our tail. So I always invest in my health because I have to have the health to engage with you. I have to have health to deal with stress and the changes of life, to deal with relationships. And if you don't have the health, you're going to compromise. You're going to settle. You're not going to give it your best because you don't have the health and vitality to give it your all. Okay. So you're going to start, we're not going to pick up our clothes. We're not going to, I don't have time to really engage with you right now. I'm impatient with you right now. So I don't have the health, but focus on the health first, and then everything else will begin to level out in life.
For sure. Awesome. 2 more questions here. I wanted to talk about grief because you know that I'm a grief coach and that's kind of like my area. So how does a man grieve for his health, or how does grief impact a man's health, I should say?
Great question. So a lot of time, and here's the paradox, that often health is the contributor to the grief. So there is things that cause us to grieve, but it's exacerbated often because of our health, all right? And then when we talk about our mood, that's health related. So when we talk about grief, we're talking about our body's capacity to deal with a stimulant, something that's happened in our life that brings sadness. And when we talk about overcoming it and dealing with it, we have various avenues. That will be talking with someone like yourself, talking with individuals that can help us maneuver through this. But then we're also talking, making sure that we're making the right choices health-wise, that it doesn't become chronic. There is a system that is associated directly with the brain. It's called the enteric nervous system. The gut is called the second brain. And this is why the brain and the gut look similar. So what affects the gut affects the brain, and what affects the brain affects the gut. So our habits of eating and drinking is going to affect our grief. So if we want to deal with grief from a healing perspective, Sonia, let's consume lighter foods. Let's consume foods that are easy to digest, that does not put such a toxic load on our bodies. Let's eliminate the fried food and the processed foods, and even just for a period of time. And what will happen, you will notice that your mood would improve, because these types of foods enhance mood. Ginkgo biloba, guta cola, these are herbs that help enhance cognitive and mood. So when we talk about grief and dealing with it, prayer is a part of it, counseling is a part of it. But one of the major areas to help us to heal and make it through that grief zone is making sure that we're cognizant of the things that we're putting in our body, so we don't exacerbate the mental war that we're going with psychologically and emotionally dealing with grief. I hope I explained that well enough.
No, yeah, for sure. And it's just a lot to try to compact in just a half an
Yeah.
hour show, and this is why we want people to reach out to you. You're just giving them a little taste. This isn't even an appetizer, but a taste of what you offer and what you do to help people and help transform lives.
Yes.
But give us 3 nuggets. What are 3 nuggets that men can use to improve their health? If they just did at least these 3 things.
These 3 things. I like that. The 3
Right.
things. Holy place, most holy place. God the Father, Son. 3-step process. Okay. Number one. Here's the number one takeaway. All right. The number one takeaway to enhance men's health, what you can do is increase the amount of fresh foods that you have come in. Okay, just try it. I'm not telling you don't eat this, don't eat that, but I'm telling you that if you want to enhance your health, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm not telling you what I feel, I'm telling you what I've experienced. I started this journey when I was in my early 20s. I'll be 52 in September. This is what works. These is not theories. So we're talking somewhere between 60 to 70% fresh food on your plate. Start with 50% and work your way up. Okay. And then I would also say, so let's do that. The fresh food and the juice, fresh juice, at least 16 ounces of fresh juice 3 times a day. All right. So number one, increase our fresh through our foods and our juices. All right. Number 2, move, exercise, exercise. Don't start off big, at least 3 days a week. Go and do some cardio and some strength training. Just do 3 sets, say 3 sets of 10 or 15 with the weights. Just get on the treadmill for 10 minutes or so. Start off small and work your way up. 3 days a week, 3 sets. Different parts of your body, just 3 sets. 10, 15, 20 reps, 3 sets, 3 days a week. Move. Okay. All right. And then number 3, supplement. All right. At least take a multivitamin mineral on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And for us men, the saw palmetto, the various herbs that I recommend that you take. I have a male formula that has, the herbs in there that help with like erectile dysfunction. I have a prostate formula that helps with prostate. So there are formulas that you can take, or if you want to just purchase the individual herbs, but they need to be a part of your maintenance program and your health restoration program. So the fresh foods the fresh foods in the form of raw foods and juices, the exercise at least 3 days a week, and the supplemental therapy, taking herbs and taking multivitamins and minerals. Those are 3 takeaways. If they do that, they will experience a significant improvement in all of that. I'm not talking about, being like me or, being, I'm just saying these things, even if you don't do it perfectly, so to speak, these investments will significantly improve a man's overall health and vitality. And he will be happy, and mama will be happy too. Thank you, Dr. Cole. Right?
Right. You got a lot of wives right now saying thank you.
It's happened before. I'm telling you.
Wow. This has been awesome. Again, always a pleasure, always a joy to have you. Yeah. Let's just take a look at how our guests can reach out to you. Of course, they can email you. I believe this is your email.
That's my email.
All right. Chornes@valier.life. Did I say that right? Valier. You pretty much have learned another language with these vitamin supplements and herbs.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like you've learned a whole new language. And then we have www.valier.life, which is your website.
That will be the website for our center. Okay. So my office, they can go there. That's how they get more information about our services. And we also have there, Sonia, if they go under services, there is a digital health intake form. If anyone is interested in me developing a plan of care for them, they can go there, fill out the digital form, and then afterwards they can submit that form and that payment, and I can create a program for them. Mm-hmm.
Good. Excellent. Excellent to have a program created uniquely just for you. So drchornes.shop. Please go to the shop and purchase something. I mean, he's got so many good things. I have to brag about, I believe it's your respiratory.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's another one that I was taking during COVID. Flu, yeah. During the COVID, you got me through, Dr. Chornes. And so I'm so grateful for these herbs that you have. Yeah. I'm going to have to go back for some weight loss now. See what you got on there. For
stuff. You got my number. You know how to get in touch with me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you again for coming and sharing with us. Any final thoughts before we close today?
I just want to remind everyone who's listening, 90% of this is mental, 10% is application. If I was able to do this when there were no Whole Foods, when there were just little mom and pop shops in Chicago, and it wasn't really that popular, if I was able to do that as a young man in my early 20s and be successful, you can do it. But the key is the mindset. Think about your wife. Think about your children, man. Think about your grandchildren. Think about how the choices impact your life. If you get a why motivated, if you focus on something that's greater than that donut, something that's greater than the pleasure of that soda pop, think about your loved ones. And as you focus on how your health can potentially impact them in a negative as well as a positive way, then I think that will create the mind change, or changing the picture of your mind, that you can begin to make better choices that will bring you happiness, not only personally, but in your relationship with those around you.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And one thing that I've noticed is when you improve one area of your life, you'll see other areas improve. And it just takes one person to step out and to change. Mm-hmm. And you'll see even the people around you, they benefit. They'll start getting healthy as well. So thank you again, Dr. Chornes, for coming and sharing with us this wonderful information of how we can turn our bitter into better and how we can live abundant lives. You're such a blessing. God bless you. And to all of you who have been watching, thank you for joining us today. You can follow me on social media at Sonia M. Shockley. That's Sonia M. Shockley. Or you can email me at soniathegriefcoach@gmail.com. soniathegriefcoach@gmail.com. And please take time to go to my YouTube channel, The Sonia Shockley Show, as I continue to grow this channel. Keep me in your prayers, wanting to use this platform to bring content and information that's so needed in a world today that needs more light and more love. So God bless you. Remember that I love you with an everlasting love, and we'll see you next time on The Sonia Shockley Show. Bye-bye.